It's Perp back with another video, and I just got done watching episode 3 of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Curse of the Shadows, and things are starting to get really interesting. I would never expected this story to be really engaging as much as it is, especially it being on Nickelodeon and how bad Nickelodeon has gotten. I think this is the best thing I've seen from Nickelodeon in a long time, and I think they're really treating this Are You Afraid of the Dark franchise with some respect. But before I get to this review, hit that like button, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at perpminded420. So essentially in this episode, to really break it down, it's essentially the origin story for the Shadow Man and just how all that came about. But before we get into that, we have our group, the Midnight Society. They're trying to figure out how to get in contact with June Murphy, because she's kind of like the key to all this and what Connor was kind of looking for to kind of break this curse. We see Connor trying to perform this seance, which, by the way, do not do this. Anytime that they do this in any type of horror movie, it always goes left. Do not use seances or Ouija boards. Don't do that. Don't mess with the spirits. Just let them be. That's just a disclaimer, but we see Connor trying this multiple times, and, you know, he was cursed. He's trying to break the curse, so they're trying to figure out a way how to just break this whole curse and get their friend back. That's been the whole premise of this whole entire season so far. So, but what I like about this, on a side note, is I like how the whole gang kind of teases Luke and Hannah of having feelings with one another, because everybody can pretty much obviously put two and two together, but they're obviously not ready to kind of, go that length. I thought that was pretty funny how just everybody was kind of teasing them about that. I'm predicting right now that by the end of the series that they will end up becoming somewhat more than friends. That's all I'll say. That aside, we get more backstory on who this June Murphy is and how to get in contact with her. So they go to Sardo and ask him for advice, but in return, he wants the Book of Shadows back. He warns them, do not look into the Book of Shadows. That will be problematic. But of course, kids do not listen to adults. And I'll get into that later. So, of course, he breaks down all the rules of the seance. It's stuff that you haven't heard before. Don't break the bond. Make sure you say goodbye to the spirits. Make sure you have a gift, yada, yada, yada. So they go do the seance. They have to go back into the woods where the curse has started. They go to the lighthouse, and they're all getting ready to do the seance. And of course, Seth breaks the bond, and now this is where things get really crazy. They kind of go into not an alternate reality, but they go into the past where June was back in the 90s. And this is interesting. So while they're in the past, kind of knocked out, unconscious, their bodies are just lifeless, Seth kind of plays pranks on them while they're kind of sleeping, which is kind of stupid. It's just so childish of Seth. But Seth is a cool character. He has to kind of, he's sitting there kind of just confessing while they're kind of knocked out unconscious. But the rest of the Midnight Society is in the past trying to figure out what happened to June. How did she die? Because they're trying to figure out all that they can about this character. So they find out how she died. She fell off a ledge, which is really fucking dark. That's interesting that they put that in there. Like I said, this is pretty dark for a Nickelodeon show. Not too graphic, but the themes are very, very dark. She falls off trying to save this lighthouse, because her whole purpose on why she died is because she was trying to save this lighthouse. This lighthouse has been in their family for generations, and she felt some type of way because she felt like her father gave up on it. And, you know, at first I was like, that's kind of silly. Like, who cares about a lighthouse? But I understand that's a part of your family. That's sentimental value and whatnot. So I could kind of see where she's coming from. And this leads her father to kind of just give up, give into the darkness. And he gets his hands on the Book of Shadows, and he becomes the Shadow Man. And this is how we get to where we're at now. So as they're watching June's father turn into the Shadow Man, it kind of causes, I don't know if there's like some type of time travel type of thing going on where it's affecting, you know, present day or something like that, but it doesn't seem like that. Luke starts to read from the book, which he was told not to open that book up at all. Of course, he didn't listen. And whatever spell he used, it made the Shadow Man disappear. And we see Connor come back. And you're like, oh man, so is this like the last episode? Boy, that next episode's got me really intrigued. I don't think that's all the way Connor, or it's probably Connor, but a former shell of himself. This was a really dope episode. A lot more information, a lot more backstory. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments below. I will check y'all out next week. Peace.